Hi, and welcome to the wisdom and magic of water. Fall is the season on the ancient Celtic wheel of the year associated with water, which makes sense with Scorpio season starting on October 22nd and moving through until November 21st. So I figured this would be a great time to share some of my discoveries during my studies with water. A few years ago, during my shamanic mentorship studies, my teacher and mentor asked me to spend the entire month studying water by simply spending time with different bodies of water and allowing them to speak with me. What I learned from being with water profoundly changed my life, my worldview, and forever changed how I see and interact with water. I never realized that I would become so fascinated with water as medicine, and now I find myself talking to water every day, every time I interact with it. It has become my normal routine and second nature for me. It's so normal in my household that I even catch my partner talking to water every day as well. Where we live is a very water-rich landscape, living by the coast with the Gulf of Mexico and being surrounded by lakes, rivers, and freshwater springs. Where I live is actually famous for its beautiful freshwater springs. And water is such an important nature spirit that it influences and shapes the land that I now call home. Which, when I think about it, is no surprise to me because when I look back through my ancestry, we've always lived in water-rich landscapes. In fact, my father was a Navy soldier and spent his entire career out at sea, living on the water and going weeks without ever seeing land, just like his father before him. In fact, my entire father's lineage comes from a massive seafaring archipelago we now know today as the United Kingdom, famous for charting and exploring all of the seas all around the world. My mother's lineage comes from the Puerto Rican archipelago in the Caribbean, and the Korean Peninsula, which is not only surrounded by water and consists of over 4,400 islands, but it's also famous for their fishing and seafood. Now, many tribal and indigenous communities consider water as the first medicine, and after my studies of water, I couldn't agree more, which is why I deepen my appreciation for water as medicine each and every day. My name is Brian Campbell of Green Gardens Healing, and this is your guide to working with water magic. And if there is magic to be found anywhere in our world, it is most certainly found in water. Water is the foundation of life. Without water, life as we know it wouldn't exist. Water itself is a form of creation. Water is needed to bring something into being, to bring something to life. It is life force energy manifested. It contains life, it nurtures life, and we are all birthed from the waters of our mother. What is more magical than that? Our planet is over 70% water, and our bodies are about 65% water. It's also the only natural substance that can be found in all four states of being: liquid, vapor, solid, and plasma. With this in mind, we can see that water is a shapeshifter. Just like us humans, water has the ability to move, to grow, and to change depending on its environment. One thing that unifies water in each of its different states of matter is that it's always moving. Whether it's raining, snowing, floating across the sky, flowing downstream, melting, vaporizing, freezing, or gracefully swaying and dancing in the tides, or glaciers reshaping entire landscapes, water is always in a constant state of transformation and movement. Water is also the universal solvent. Water dissolves more substances than anything else, and it's a building block of how we function and how all beings on this planet function as well. For example, plants use water to create photosynthesis with their cells, which in turn creates chlorophyll, juices, and syrups. As humans, we use water in so many different ways, cleansing, cooling, detoxifying, rehydrating, lubricating, rejuvenating, and even refreshing our mindset and perspective. So you can see water not only affects our bodies, but our minds, our emotions, and our energetic fields. Our body also uses water and turns it into a highly conductive, charged liquid plasma, the sacred waters of our ancestral lineages that runs through our veins, our bones, and every part of our body. We know this sacred water as DNA, which also happens to be our built-in, unique access code to connecting with different fields of consciousness and communicating and collaborating with the divine. The waters of our body are also where we embody the frequency of our being and where all of the emotional memories are stored, which is why when we connect with certain emotions, our bodies shed tears of sadness, grief, and joy. Water is so incredibly responsive. We see this every day when we make tea. Water has the ability as a universal solvent to take up the medicinal qualities of herbs. But water is also responsive to other things, like the moon. We see this with the tides, the change in emotional waters in our being during the full moons, and even in women's menstrual cycles. We also know that water responds to the Earth's magnetic fields and solar flares. It even changes frequency, charge, shape, and cymatic structure according to its surrounding environment. Therefore, water is so much more sensitive than we ever thought before. Just like all sentient beings, water has been proven to have a conscious memory and retain images and emotion. On a very scientific and academic level, I loved learning about the studies of Dr. Masaru Emoto, which I loved because his work was able to reach an audience worldwide. And I was lucky enough to stumble upon his work and study his work over 15 years ago. And if you haven't heard of him, Dr. Masaru Emoto is a Japanese scientist and researcher who studied the way water interacts with thought, intention, and music. What he did was really interesting. He took pictures of water as it crystallized, and he found that the same water would crystallize in totally different formations depending on which thoughts, intentions, or music it was exposed to. He showed us how water would artistically recreate images as it crystallized over a photo. It even depicted how water has creativity and creative expression. It's a really beautiful set of experiments that he did, which really inspired me to see water more as a living, conscious, and sentient being rather than a substance. Water has the ability to respond to our moods, our thoughts, and subtle energetic meridians and ley lines that weave throughout our lives, throughout space and time. Water, of course, is foundational to belief systems of every civilization on Earth, because water very literally is life itself. Even today, if you visit sacred sites around the world, you will find that many of these sites were built on top of previous sacred sites, which many of them were there to enshrine a spring, waterway, or a body of water. Natural springs and bodies of water are the original sacred sites. They are the first sacred sites that humans truly observed and honored, which makes sense because water is a bastion of life. It's the birthplace of life and the magical ingredient to life itself. Where I live, I'm surrounded by so many gorgeous freshwater springs. And springs are places where we know that no matter what is going on in the world around us, Mother Nature will still nourish and feed us. For a few years during my shamanic and constellations trainings, I found myself spending time in the sacred Cherokee lands of the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina. Naturally, being a passionate student of life, I was intrigued by the Cherokee cosmology and I began studying Cherokee wisdom traditions. And one of the things I noticed that I learned is that the first medicine of the Cherokee healing arts is water. Even today, in Cherokee culture, the first medicine is always take it to the water. Whenever you're experiencing, whether it's heartache, a headache, or an illness, the first place they go is to the water. Water is a vital part of our everyday life, and reconnecting to the sacredness of water is a soul retrieval, calling us back to our true divine essence, our divine capacities, our magic and medicine, and the divine healing magic and medicine of water and the waters within us. So now whenever I find myself stuck, struggling, or uninspired, I first go to the water and let Mother Nature's first medicine heal me, restore my flow, and reinvigorate my creativity. For me, it's like bathing in God's pool of life force energy, the source of creation. The more pure and natural the water, the more potent its medicine. In my divine communion and baptisms with water, I find myself super sensitive, especially to the temperature of water, much more so than the temperature of the air or the earth beneath my feet. And that's because when we immerse ourselves in water, it's a physical, emotional, mental, and energetic merging that instantly recalibrates our entire nervous system throughout our entire body and being. So naturally, we would be quite responsive and sensitive to our merging with the water. In my personal experience, I have found hot water to be very energizing, and I can't stay in it for too long unless I'm really under the weather or really in need of that energetic cleansing energy. Think of steamy, piping hot showers. Warm water, on the other hand, is relaxing and soothing. I could bathe in warm water all day long because it's so comforting. I also love tepid water because it's refreshing, restorative, and reinvigorating. Cool water is highly therapeutic and healing. Think about the temperature of the ocean water. Natural springs, streams, and rivers are always on the cooler side, and they have very deeply healing properties. And cold water, or close to freezing water, it's fortifying and strengthening. Think of ice baths and polar bear plunges. Some magical practices that you can do to work with water is water whispering. Now imagine yourself sitting by the ocean or a babbling brook and bathing in the sound waves of moving water. You will discover that there are so many voices to water, and we can receive messages just by sitting with the water. So in water whispering, I go and sit by the fountains outside my house or the pond in my yard, or even out in nature where I can hear the water whispering. And I simply voice my concerns and questions out to the water, and then I listen with presence and stillness and allow myself to receive. Now, in my experience, I don't physically hear words from the water hitting my eardrums. It's more like an inner state of communication. My feelings change. I receive and download new insights and perspectives. Sometimes I even receive images that play out like a daydream. I'm always amazed by what I receive, understand, and feel just by sitting with the water and listening to the magical melody of its divine wisdom. Now, if you don't have any running water near where you live, or you don't live near any bodies of water, you can try this exercise in the shower, the bathtub, or even with a bowl of water. Gazing into a bowl of water is an ancient technology and art form that is used to connect with the divine, and it's called scrying. In order to be proficient in this ancient art form, you will first need to get into a meditative state and stare onto the surface of the water. And just notice if you can receive any kind of messages or input from the water as you let yourself sink into this relaxed state of being and this altered state of consciousness. The next water magic ritual is elixirs. So we've explored how water can be a medium for actually taking on the healing properties and energetics of many things: plants, words, thoughts, ideas, music, pictures, and intentions. So the easiest kind of water elixir that you can make is to write your intention and to tape it onto a container of water and let it sit outside in the sun to be structured by the divine solar light codes, and then overnight to be charged by the moon, especially a full moon, so that the water can receive the therapeutic lunar energies in its fullness. This is a beautiful way to get clear on what kind of magic you want to manifest in your life, and to ask that the water and the cosmic forces that help shape our reality support you and your intention. And then, of course, you can drink the water elixir. My favorite water elixir that I do every day is charging my water in a copper vessel and adding freshly squeezed organic lemons and trace minerals. And I voice my intention into the water. Dear divine sacred waters, thank you for your divine healing magic and medicine, and blessing my body with your divine magic and medicine of inner peace, love, joy, vitality, rejuvenation, rehydration, and purification. Thank you, dear divine sacred waters. Thank you. And then you can drink your water. I also do this with my animals drinking water and my shower water every single morning. This truly helps me to anchor and embody the divine magic that is available all around us that I never truly fully recognized, noticed, or harnessed before. Water is a form of divine natural intelligence that interacts with the world around it to create, carry, connect, charge, cleanse, nurture, and flow. It is an emotional intelligence all of its own, and we have the capacity as divine creators to collaborate with the potency and magic of water in this way by using our written and spoken intention and blessings. We can even get more creative with our water elixirs by adding crystals and making a stone elixir. Now, not all crystals are allowed in your drinking water. However, working with any stone within the quartz family is a safe way to make a stone elixir. Personally, I also enjoy using clear quartz, shungite, jade, and copper. Clear quartz is a great crystal to use because it's highly programmable and it's a master stone. That's why we use it in all of our technology. Phones, iPads, computers, all of that is made with clear quartz technology. I also use shungite. Shungite is great for detoxifying and purifying. Jade is what I have in my animals' drinking bowls, and it promotes good health and good fortune. And of course, copper, which gives water a healing electric charge to rejuvenate all the cells in our body. I also add salt crystals, which helps crystallize the structure of water, which also aids in the coherent crystalline structure of our bodies by adding more structured, potent, energetic charges. Even batteries are made with water and salt electrolytes. It's because it creates a higher energetic charge. And if you think about it, our bodies are a bioelectric being. Therefore, adding a pinch of salt into my water elixir has become my routine. And water elixirs aren't just for drinking. You can also use water elixirs to bless and sanctify something, someone, or some place. And this is a practice that I often weave into all of my healing retreats, circles, and workshops. Most people are familiar with the practice of flower essences. There was a British physician in the late 1800s named Dr. Edward Bach, who was the first physician of his time who started experimenting with floating flowers in water, and then using that water elixir to treat all kinds of ailments, both physical and emotional. This is why I grow, harvest, collect, and create my own herbal bath essences and salt rituals. The truth is, you can create an essence from anything with water. If water responds to your thoughts, emotions, intentions, you could set a jar of water out in the middle of a gathering to capture the energy of that gathering. You could set a bowl of water out underneath the full moon and capture the energy of the full moon. This is an ancient art form that has been passed down from ancient lineages of tribal peoples and shamanic traditions and indigenous peoples. There's even an ancient shamanic technology that uses water as an energetic space clearing and protection mechanism. That is a technology that I use in my house. And the clearer you express your intention with the water, the stronger the medicine will be. And we've seen water responds to thoughts. So if you're clear with your intent of what you're asking this elixir to become, then the medicine will turn out that much more potent. And I think it's important to remember that we are 65% water. And if water is so programmable and sensitive, then aren't the waters of our body also responding and reacting to our thoughts and emotions, especially what we think, say, and feel about ourselves? Even in lighthearted, joking ways like, I'm so dumb, I forgot. The waters of our body is listening and receptive to these words and to these feelings. So I love thinking about water magic in a way that actually is like learning how to program and recalibrate myself and the waters within my body so that I resonate with the frequencies of peace, love, joy, and gratitude, which is why I bless my water every day before drinking and bathing in it. Another magic water ritual is anointing. Water anointing is a very ancient and sacred practice. It's something that I like to do whenever I'm communing with water out in nature. I like to get my feet and hands into the water and anoint my face and arms. When doing water anointing, make sure you get the most energetically special water that you can find. So whether that's full moon water, an elixir that you've created, water from a sacred wellspring in the world, or even wild water out in nature, which may not be the cleanest water, but if you bless the water, then you can then use it to anoint yourself. If you ever have the opportunity to visit a sacred wellspring of water somewhere in the world, you can bottle that water up and take it home with you and use that for anointing as well. We see this practice in churches with holy water. Now, all water is holy, and we can use it to bless ourselves and others. Some of the most powerful anointing water is the cosmic dew that forms each morning, especially that of the summer solstice. One of the things that makes water so magical for us is that we each have such a deep relationship with it. Water is a teacher that advances and expands our consciousness, shifting our focus to having access to the purest water in the world would change the entire world as we know it and how we choose to participate in it. Water is the one tangible element that every living being needs. Water unites all living beings in one common space because we all need it. I like to think of the watering hole in the middle of the night in the Sahara Desert, where all the predators and prey unite and all enjoy the water's blessings together. Connecting with and harnessing the magic of water reminds me to treat water differently. I'm more conscious of water and the water that I put into my body, which also moves me to be more conscious of not only what I drink, but what I eat and what I put on my body. In these ways, water is expanding and deepening my self-awareness, my compassion, and gratitude for the magic of the divine that's all around me and within me. Therefore, it's so important for all of us to have access to clean water, and not just the illusion of access to clean water. Now, all water is sacred, but not all water carries the same frequency. There's a huge difference between wild, fresh spring water or well water versus chemically treated public tap water, or water stored in plastic bottles versus water stored in glass or copper. Chlorinated water versus salt water, elixir water that has been blessed and water that hasn't, as well as water that's in motion or water that remains still. Salt water has some of the highest crystalline forms of water. It's plasma-like. It's highly medicinal, and it maintains a level of purification that allows it to be rich and abundant with life, which is why swimming in the ocean can be so healing and therapeutic. Water is infinite and can magically transform and seemingly manifest and appear spontaneously out of thin air. And after my studies with water, I began to perceive the universe radically different than how I was educated in school. I think of the universe now as one vast, giant ocean filled with water, just in varying degrees of density, and in a variety of different states of matter, with of course pockets of earth and dome-like bubbles that are filled with air where worlds are formed big and small and are filled and teeming with abundant life forms. For me, the universe is like an endless sea and a fountain of creation, a cosmic dance of water and light giving birth to prima materia. I also consider water to be a form of liquid light because it too contains all the colors, just like light. Water can also travel anywhere throughout all of space and time. Because water is known to have memory, it allows us to reach deep, far into the past, and because of its eternal nature, it allows us to reach far into the future. Therefore, water is an eternal being like energy. It can't be created, destroyed, only transformed, just like us. We're born into this body, but we are endless, and we cannot be destroyed, only transformed. If you're looking to strengthen your relationship with water, start letting water speak to you. Go out and dance in the rain. Start speaking to your water and bless the water every time you come in contact with it. One way you can do this is by cupping water into your hands. And by the time it takes the water to slip out through your fingers and back into its source, pray with the water. Bless the water with whatever way makes sense to you, with prayers that you call upon, or a song, or even just a heartfelt intention that this water go back to its source and bring with it your blessings, your love, and your prayers. That all waters on earth are blessed, and that it be received back to its source and resonates and harmonizes your gift of prayer and blessings as it travels throughout time and space. in the universe. The next time you're out communing with water, maybe you can ask it to show you how water works with humans. From water's perspective, how does it mysteriously engage us? Connecting with water and the elements and working with the elemental magic, such as the magic of water, is some of the greatest passions in my life. I love talking about different rituals and ways to connect with the earth and Mother Nature in a way that deepens my presence and awareness with the magic and the sacredness of life that is all around us and within us. So I'd love to hear from you, dear beautiful water beings. What are some ways that you like to work with water? Let me know and share your experiences with me. Here's a water invocation to get you started. Dear divine sacred waters, here and now, I evoke the elemental force of water, the fluidity of infinite shapes and forms, flowing source of adaptability, emotion, and life. I seek the pure spring within that might drink deep of change, nourishment, and grace. I call you forth to wash away that needlessly binds and to move fluidity in this world, ocean and river, ripple and rain, water, I call on thee. I hope you enjoyed listening to my discoveries from water as my teacher, and I wish you many blessings on your journey with water now that you have been initiated into the magic and medicine of water. Thank you. Bye, guys.